Hello everyone, my name is Omar, and today we're going to explore the different ways to select text in computer control. There are actually 4 methods to select text. Some of them are more useful than others, for me at least, but I believe that it is important to tell you all of the possibilities, so you can assess the best way to select text that works the best for you. First, I want to explain very briefly what selecting text is, as this is going to help us understand some of the methods better. If you find the explanation boring, please skip ahead. When you select text, you actually giving the computer a begin point, where you want the selection to begin, and an end point, where you want the selection to end. When you select text by dragging the cursor, for example, you create a begin point when you start dragging, and you create an end point when you stop dragging. The computer then simply selects all the text between those 2 points. Let's start on how to select a word. You can quickly select a word by double-clicking on that word. To do this with computer control, gaze on the specific word you want to select, go in the interaction menu, adjust the target if necessary, and then select the double-click function on the interaction menu, and the word is selected. Now, you can quickly copy the selected word by accessing the copy function in the off-screen menu. Selecting a single word can seem not that helpful, but it can be when you quickly want to look up a definition of a word, or want to copy-paste a password. The following method is with the click and drag function. This function lets you click and drag the left mouse button from point A to point B. To select text, gaze at where you want to start your selection, select the click and drag after you adjusted the target if necessary. You have now selected the begin point and can immediately gaze at the end point. When you confirm by looking at the drop icon, you can adjust the target of the end point, and after that you have selected the text. One side note here, if you are not getting the target adjustment on the end point, you can enable this in the settings menu. To do this, access the off-screen menu by looking beneath your screen. If you use the eye series, you can look directly at the infrared lights of the eye tracker. From the off-screen menu, go to the settings menu, activation, go to the next section and toggle adjust target, click and drag. I highly recommend doing this if you're selecting text a lot. Another side note, and this is not only regarding the click and drag method but rather an annoyance in general, sometimes in particular websites or applications, you have to be very accurate to select a part of a text when the begin point of the selection is also the beginning of the whole text or a singular line. In Gmail this is the case. When you try selecting a whole email, or a part from the top, or a part of a line, you can accidentally select too much, as you can see. This happens because of the margin setup of Gmail, and has nothing to do with computer control. To prevent this, you have to be deadly precise, and click on the left half of the first letter, and when that first letter is an I or a small l, well, good luck to you then. To make this at least a bit easier, you can use the zoom function of your browser to make the text larger, so you have a bigger target. So, the click and drag method can be used in general for the most of the time as it is fast and accurate, but the only situation where you cannot use this method is when the text that you want to select is not displayed in its entirety on the screen. To put it in other words, when you need to scroll to select the whole text. Luckily there's another way to do this. It involves the shift function. Regarding selecting text, or selecting in general actually, the shift key is used to tell the computer to start selecting. What this means is that you can select text simply by left-clicking. This method works as follows. First, left-click once on the begin point of your selection. In Microsoft Word you shall see that the blinking text cursor is moved to where you have clicked. In a browser you typically don't see the blinking text cursor, but even then this method still works. After you've clicked on the begin point of the selection, you want to do the same on the end point, but with one key difference. In the interaction menu, before you're going to left-click on the end point, toggle the shift button on the interaction menu. When you now left-click, the text between the two clicks will be selected. I use this method a lot. What I like about this method is that it is a stress-free method because you are able to readjust the target as many times as you want before both times you're going to click. With the click and drag method, before the first time you click to initiate dragging, you can adjust and readjust the target, but on the second click, you basically get one shot, and if you fail you have to redo the first again too. But with the shift method this is not the case, as you with each step have access to the adjust target button on the interaction menu, but it is also a little bit slower than the click and drag method as it has 1 or 2 additional steps. Theoretically you can also select text with the advanced continuous mode. The advanced continuous mode has 3 separate modes: continuous left click, continuous click and drag, and continuous hold and drag. This continuous mode was the method I thought it was useless when we're talking about selecting text, but when I thought about it and tested different situations, I came to the conclusion that it might be useful for some of you. So, the first mode within continuous mode, the left click mode, is not practical to selecting text, but continuous click and drag could be very useful for some use cases. Click and drag within continuous mode is basically the regular click and drag where you drag something from A to B, with the only difference that the mode stays active after you finished selecting a B point so you can directly select an A point again. Where could this be useful for in regards of selecting text? I think it would be useful in a situation where you have a set of things to copy to somewhere else that also are in the wrong order. To select text this way, you can just do the same as you would in the regular click and drag. To copy the selected text, however, you don't need to exit continuous mode. As you can see, you can also drag the selected text to move it to somewhere else. The third mode within continuous mode is called hold and drag. With continuous hold and drag mode, the mouse pointer follows your gaze after you selected an A point while the left mouse button stays activated until you've selected a B point. The intended use for this is to move objects or to draw in a graphics editing software like Adobe Photoshop, as this enables users to see the result while dragging. This can be used for selecting text as well, although I couldn't think of a situation where this method was the most effective way to do it. The only added value this has is that you can scroll while you are selecting, as you can see. So, this was the 4 major methods, but there's 3 keyboard shortcuts I want to share with you as these are very useful and can be executed with the keyboard of computer control. To select everything quickly, you can hit Ctrl and then A on the keyboard. To select everything from your blinking text cursor to the top of a document, you can hit Shift, Ctrl, and then the Home key. Similarly, to select everything from your blinking text cursor to the end of a document, you can hit Shift, Ctrl, and then the End key. Lastly, I want to show you a practical example. Let's say that I want to email a friend about this new AAC device. I've selected too much, so I click once to deselect the selection. This time I know that I have to be more precise. Luckily, this is no big deal as the title is nice and big. Notice that I've missed a part of a sentence. Utilizing the Shift method, I can easily select the rest of the sentence without starting over. This works because my begin point is still correct. Another useful thing to know is that, when you activate the keyboard, computer control automatically performs a left click. The advantage of this is that you can open the keyboard on your last click, if you know that the text cursor is going to be at the right place. In other words, I could open the keyboard while I hit the reply button of Gmail, sparing me an extra action. Or this would be the case if I wasn't off target. Yes, you can also just use the shortcut Ctrl V. I decided that I wanted to include the URL in my email. Selecting URLs is very easy. You just have to single-click the address bar of the browser to do it. I'm using now Mozilla Firefox, but this also works in Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. I hope that this video was useful to you and that you've learned things that is going to make your workflow easier. If you have questions or feedback about this video or computer control, feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully see you soon.